Subscribe.
We are going to reshape. We're going to reshape the way that we perceive this thing. Because it can actually be your best friend if you know how to use it. This is also mastery of something. Something that we've been taught to kill, something that we've been taught to get rid of, something that we've been taught to just allow to move on from us. And there's a very important nuance here when it comes to the ego, of understanding it in a whole different way. Understanding this is the difference between health and wellness and disease and ailments. It's the difference between lack and abundance. It's the difference between addiction and full control of your being. It's the difference between a successful business and one that just comes crumbling down. It's the difference between a good relationship and a poor relationship. Understanding this thing and making it your best friend in the best way possible will change your life very, very quickly. So I'm going to start at the end and then come back to it from the beginning. There's one very simple phrase that we have to remember here. If the desire of the ego is aligned with the desire of the soul, you're golden. There's nothing that can stop you. If the desire of the ego is misaligned with the desire of the soul, you will fall. You will fail, you will get sick, and everything around you will come crumbling down. It's a matter of alignment over here. Now let's go back to the beginning. What is the ego? What is the soul? What is free will? And what is divine will? So we have many different dimensions to us, but for this lesson, so-called, we're going to speak about two. Free will is the will within your body. Divine will is the will from a much higher perspective. Let's say you're going through a river. You're canoeing through a river. The way that you operate and maneuver that canoe from within the river and the perspective on the boat may be very different from the way that you maneuver and operate that canoe from 1,000-foot view above, because you see what's coming. You see things that you can't see from the perspective of the boat. So this is the body in the boat, and this is the soul. Much higher perspective, outside of that boat. Knows much better than the body, but allows the body to do its thing. Because that's what being a human is about. We're here to evolve. We're here to make choices. There are consequences to every choice. Some may be positive, and some may be negative. The purpose of what I'm going to teach today is that what you experience as your negative is not a negative or bad thing that's happening to you. It's your divine will hitting your free will, hitting you, knocking you, and saying, hello, stop. Because if you keep going down that route, you're going to have a problem. I'm here to help you. And I'm going to help you by putting obstructions in your way when you're going the wrong way, because wouldn't that be a good thing? It's the reshaping process. So I'm going to give you guys a visualization real quick to picture in your mind. You're in a car. There's you and your body of free will driving. You know those cars with 2 steering wheels? When you're practicing how to drive? We're doing that right now in the body, okay? So there's you in the car as free will driving, and there's you in the car as divine will driving. Divine will knows exactly what your purpose is. It knows who you are, it knows why you came here, it knows why you're here, and what you're here to do. Free will, the human experience, is here to remember that. Alignment with free will and divine will, with the desire of the ego and the desire of the soul, because the ego is the thing that drives you through this physical reality. The ego, if used in a negative way, will take you down. If used in a positive way, will bring you up. Let's go back to the car for a second. If you're driving in your free will driver's seat, and you start veering off-road. You start a little bit. You first get little nudges from the divine will part of you saying, hello, stay on the street, you're going to fall. You can hit a tree, be careful. But it's not extreme enough to jerk it. You're just moving, you know, you're getting the lane signal saying you're hitting the wrong lane. And you're not listening to that, so you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going until the bringing you back on course gets a whole lot louder. And it will continue getting louder until one of two things happen. You either listen or you leave your body. We call that death. We call that moving on. Because if you're not here on the path that you came here to be on, then why are we here? We're here for a reason. We have to stay on that reason. We have to stay on that path, and we have to stay on that purpose. So when divine will brings you back onto the road, the bigger the jerk back onto the road, the harder your head's going to hit the window. And it hurts. And the expression of that can start as hardships with your friends. If you don't listen, it can lead to hardships in your intimate life. If you don't listen to that, it can lead to cancer. And if you don't listen to that, it keeps going. For me, I had little signals when I veered off my path. And then my shoulders started dislocating. That happened 23 times. A lot of jerks back onto the skull. And I got 3 shoulder surgeries by the age of 18. And I still didn't listen, so I almost got my leg amputated. And it almost took my life from a staph infection. And that's when I put my hands up and I said, listen, take the wheel, please, I'm out. I will listen to everything that is in my path right now. So why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this because, number one, it's an opportunity to reshape the hardships in our lives, to understand that all those things that are coming our way are really just a message from this part of ourselves saying, get back in alignment with this part of yourself. And when you're in alignment, you're now operating in the matrix, ego, and out of the matrix, soul. And when both of those engines, both of those steering wheels are pointing the same way, nobody can stop you. But if one is pointing the wrong way, on the level of free will, then you're going to have obstructions along the way. The ego, we usually associate with the part of you that, thinks you're better than people. That's because you forget about divine will. You forget about the soul. But the ego is the very thing that causes you to run away from a bear when it's chasing you. It causes you to experience fear when there's something that's about to kill you. Because the awareness of the ego is interesting. The awareness of the ego is limited to the confines of the matrix. So the awareness of the ego believes that if your body dies, you're dead. That's why it makes you run away from the bear. So it's good that we had that, because if we're only operating out of the soul, you're just going to sit there and wait for it to eat you, because who cares, right? We're just going to come back. You need a balance between both. You need to move between both of them in a balanced way to the best of your ability. Today, the work that I do is because of this and this. Where do you think the motivation, the ambition, the fuel, the charge, the batteries come from? From here. Because this is your physical charger. It's supported by this, by the soul purpose, but it's activated in this matrix by the ego. Why do we have 260 unified healing centers today? Because the ego, the physical part, said, I want as many centers around the world as possible so as many people can experience this to the best of our ability. That's an egoic move. But it's in alignment with that purpose. It's in alignment with why we came here. So now the ego becomes a very powerful engine to move you through life. And it allows you to do what many people said were impossible, like opening 260 centers in 11 months. That's how powerful you can be, but you remember that it's not you doing it. The fruits of this labor is not because of me. The fruits of this labor is because of an alignment between what I experience as me and something a whole lot bigger than me. And that alignment is something we all have. So for anybody who sits there and says, I'm just one person, I can't really do anything, I don't know. Well, you know how many one-person people there were that changed the world as we know it? And you know how much quicker the world would change if enough people started playing or stopped playing that little mindset of I'm just one person and said, I'm going to align this thing with this thing and nothing's going to stop me. It will change the world faster than anything out there. And the way that I know that this is our redemption to a better world, the connection between the two, is because the people that operate the world today, the powers in control, are here. Mm-hmm. And when you mix this with this, they have no chance. Amen. People ask me, why don't you walk around with security? Because I don't care. Because the soul part of me says, listen, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. If somebody's going to put a bullet in my head, it's going to happen. But I don't believe that that's going to happen. And if it does, I'm okay with it. Because I'm not here to control that thing. Because right now I'm operating out of free will. All of us are. Put your faith in the knowingness that there's something a whole lot bigger than that free will. And let it bring you onto path instead of you thinking that we're smarter than the driver in divine will, that we're smarter than the awareness with that 1,000-foot perspective looking at the canoe going through that river. Trust that higher awareness. Allow it to guide you, but still be in the boat at the same time. Because you need both so long as you're in this physical vessel. The ego is a beautiful thing. The ego is a great thing. Let's go back to the appendix. They say you don't need it, but we have it. The ego is the same thing. But now instead of the doctors telling you don't need something, it's the spiritual leaders telling you don't need something. It's the same consciousness expressed differently. Of course you do. You need everything that you have at your fingertips. There is a use for all of it if you know how to use it. The ego is my best friend because it helps me propel through this world. It helps me turn the spiritual mission into a physical one. And that's the beauty of what this thing has to offer, so long as we always ask ourselves, and I always ask myself this question, and we're going to end on this specific question. If you want to check your alignment, to measure your alignment, to calibrate your alignment on every single action that you're doing or are going to do, and sometimes you'll be great at this and sometimes you won't. Sometimes I'm good at this and sometimes I fail and then I learn and then I change. Ask yourself one simple question. Is this action that I'm about to take the desire of my ego that is aligned with the desire of my soul? Is this action that I'm about to take aligned with why I believe I came here in the first place? And if your answer is I don't know, take a second and sit on it. Something will change and you'll see it in a different way. If your answer is no, well great. You just measured something, you saw it's not in your highest good or in the highest good of anybody else, and you move on. And that's okay, by the way, because we're human beings that act out of the counterproductive portion of our ego as well. It's not about not acting out of it. It's about stopping it when it happens. It's about not judging it when it happens and say, ooh, I have that part in me. But let's make sure not to execute that part. Let's make sure not to bring that part from the thought into the action, from the thought into the matter, because that wouldn't be productive. Your filter of making sure that this is aligned with this, that ego is aligned with soul, that filter exists as one question. Is the action that I'm about to take aligned with the desire of my soul and the purpose of why I believe I came here in the first place? And if you can ask yourself that question moving forward in every big decision you make, you will have that alignment. You will reach your highest potential, whatever that is, and you will fulfill the reason why you came here in the first place. And in that way, your ego is your best friend. Subscribe. Hey, thanks for watching this video. There's so much more I'd like to dive into, but unfortunately, we can't do that here thanks to the heavy censorship efforts from big tech. If you want to explore this topic further, you can dive deep by accessing our entire uncensored library on unified.tv. There's a link in the description below this video if you want to check it out. A membership to Unified TV gives you unlimited access to hundreds of uncensored podcasts, investigative journalism, documentaries, films, and content that was once available on major streaming platforms like Netflix, but is now banned from the internet. For just $14.99 a month, which is less than $1 a day, you get access to it all. Your subscription also helps keep the platform running free from censorship and corporate influence. Please consider supporting us and enjoy all of our unfiltered and thought-provoking content in return. Thank you very much, and I will see you on Unified TV.